The best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmet's casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Get your tech. Oh man. Shit.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Geeks Vegas Lines DFS and Betting Angles breakdowns. It is week 16 of the NFL season. We've got a pretty crazy week, split up with 4 games coming on Friday and Saturday, a game on Monday, and a 10-game slate on Sunday. And we're talking about the main slate. And I've got the main slate goat himself, John Statsational Alessia, here with me to break it all down. What's up, John? How's it going?
It's going well, man. Going well.
All right, you continuing to smash your bets over at Sports Bet Army as per the usual? Question?
Yeah, mark? It was good. Good NFL. I want to say 3-1 in the NFL last week. So we've, it's been tough. I think with COVID especially, it's kind of screwed around with some things. But we're holding our head above water on the NFL and got college bowls going on now. So there's a lot, and of course NBA's full force tonight. So we're busy.
Man, a lot of games tonight for NBA. And as a matter of fact, being that we're filming this right now at 3:54 on Wednesday afternoon, and there is a slate beginning at 7, we get it. We're playing it too, so we're going to try to keep this within an hour so we can get to our NBA construction as well. And of course, we've got another wild one coming up for Sunday on the main slate. We're going to look at all these betting angles and all the different DFS angles. This to me is pretty much the last serious week of main slate DFS. Week 17 it gets weird, and then of course the playoffs have their own flavor. You can't really play like cash or things just change a little bit. So this is it. Last chance. By the way, you competed in the Fanduel Championship this past weekend. How'd that go?
14th. So, out of 80. Not great, not terrible.
Not what you wanted?
Nah, but we'll take it.
Feels better than finishing in the bottom.
Yeah, it was one of those, it was a tease because I was sitting up in like the top 3 or 4 all day, but you just knew that it wasn't going to last.
Yeah.
So, there was too many of the Murrays chasing me down, and I don't think anyone had Hurts in that. Hard to believe. I don't think anyone played it. It's possible. I didn't look at everybody in front of me, but I didn't see too many. Murray was the big one. It was Murray, Lamar, and Mahomes were the big owned.
Let me tell you something. You've been in those a bunch of times. I've been in them a few times. Not as much, not anywhere near like you, but I've been in them a few times. And people play it very conservative. And our boy Sintow was in there, and he put in Ryan Tannehill. So, which was a great play. He ended up smashing, but I wouldn't have played him personally in a contest like that. But that was what I thought was overly contrarian. I thought what you guys did with your lineup, fully stacking the Ravens game was maybe a little bit too much. I don't know that you absolutely needed pieces. Like you needed to game stack it with DJ Shark in there. And I think my observation has been if you just go a little bit off chalk, but have some balls, but don't be like crazy about it. That's the perfect mix. It's a little bit of ballsy in there. Everybody afraid to pay down to Hurts. You do it. You know what I mean? But that one differentiator was enough. Then get your chalk in there. Get your Ayuks and your chalk pieces, your Pollards in there. Just that one little differentiator is enough in an 80-person contest, especially one where everybody's afraid of finishing last, so they want to quote unquote at least get something. That contest had a penalty for finishing last. Like there was a big difference between what you did and coming in towards the end where it was only a couple grand. They
gave you 10,000 out of the gate, so the worst you could do was 10,000, and I think the last 20 spots got nothing more than
they got 2. They got an extra $2,000, right?
They got So I mean, I guess I got 25,000, 15 plus the 10 that they gave me.
You did fine because essentially that was a contest where coming in like the bottom 20, you only got $2,000. Mm-hmm. Forget the 10K that you got. That's gone already. Only got 2, but if you finished top 15, you got 15,000 That's a big difference from 2 to 15. That's real money. That's worth shooting for it. So that's why I say you don't want to be crazy, like throwing out some Mitch Trubisky stacks in there. Like I'm not trying to do that or like get on some like wackadoodle crazy shit. But at the same time, I think there's a little, it's a perfect balance. I love that style of contest, quite honestly. It's a little bit of balls. Like I said, it's a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah, those things, they'll drive you crazy after a while.
You guys had like too much balls almost. Too little.
Yeah, too little and too much. Yeah.
It was like combined in one. Like you needed to fucking game stack.
Yeah, well, that was the only thing because then it just started rolling on. It started with, I'm going to just go Lamar solo. And then I'm like, well, you know what? Obviously the tight end's always a mess. You know what? Let's just stack it with tight end, with Andrews. And then it's like, well, if we're going to go with a cheap punt option, let's go, Chark because he's in that game and hope for the best. He was fine. That wasn't the reason. It was the, I think 77% of the pool had Kamara, which I also did. I actually contemplated because that was the second game. I had Kamara and Sanders left, contemplated flipping it. There weren't great options. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave it because I know everyone's got Kamara. Let them try to chase me down. I can't get the first anyway, and I couldn't get to second. So
are you allowed to late swap? Are you allowed to late swap in that one?
Yeah, there was late swapping. So
the DraftKings one didn't allow for late swapping.
Oh, really? Okay.
In the past, I don't know if
I didn't try it. Yeah, I was pretty sure the late swap was in play, but I didn't do it. So, but I planned on doing it. That was my game plan if I needed it to get the first.
That would have been interesting. Or you could have swapped to Ahmed, but you needed more than
Yeah. It looked like I'm trying to remember. I mean, Akers who was terrible. He was one of the swap options. Yeah, and then he was terrible anyway. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I went through probably 48 different lineups, and that was one of the better ones I wound up putting in. So I can't complain.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Anyway, It's a good finish. You made money. Congratulations on that. So that's a winner. And let's move on, man. It's week 15. It's week 16. Oh my gosh. And let's get a quick look. We've got the format of this show, as we just mentioned before, we're going to look at a core 3 this week, not a core 4. Could only pick out 3 games that we think are core worthy. We're going to look at 3 games. We're going to go into them in a little bit more depth in terms of DFS breakdown, a little more betting angles breakdown. And then we're going to look at the other 7 games on the slate in what we call a rapid fire round, where we're just going to kind of get a quick overview of each game, try to figure out some angles, betting angles, and DFS angles. So let's roll with the core 4. All right, so the first game on the core 4, John, we've got the Falcons. This is the game potentially of the week, although there is a giant spread, and maybe it's not. I don't know. But we've got the Falcons. It's the highest game total on the slate. The Falcons taking on the Chiefs, going into Kansas City. There's a 54.5 point total here, 10.5 point projection. Now, does anything stand out here to you on a betting angle perspective from this line? It looks pretty correct to me.
Yeah, it does. The total's right where I had it. The line looks a little high, just for how Atlanta's been playing. Atlanta's been playing a little bit better than people. I think 11's a little much. Not saying that I'm going to take that as a play, but if I had to lean to one side, I would take the points there. If I'm in some sort of a pool where you have to play the game, I like 10.5, 11 points there. It seems like a bit much. I think this game should be probably closer to the 8.5, 9. But obviously, there's the fear there that Kansas City could really blow anyone out on any given day. But even Kansas City, while they're probably the best team in the league, I don't know if anyone's really looked unbeatable this season, right? I mean, obviously Kansas City's a favorite here to win the whole thing, but you're not going to be shocked here if they don't make the Super Bowl. I would have, right? I mean, they could lose on the way in.
Any team can lose. I would be surprised, I would say, if they didn't make the Super Bowl. But I'd love to have a whole conversation about who we think can win this, who can get to the Super Bowl, who can, we'll do a playoff version of it.
We'll do. I do a whole big article right before the playoffs and break it down. So we'll do something on that.
I want to have that conversation with you. Yeah. Now, there are two interesting angles from a DFS point of view on this guy. I find this unbettable. I can't bet. I'm not betting against the Chiefs scoring a lot of points. I'm just not going to do that ever. We've seen Atlanta sort of implode in games and just look like shit on offense on occasion. That's just what happens with Matt Ryan helm teams. That's why Matt Ryan, to me, is never playable in cash games. He will be terrible sometimes when he has no ability to run. They don't really have a good running game. So when an opposing team can get pressure on him, he's basically dead. Doesn't always happen. So he's a volatile player, but the interesting angle to me in this game is actually both teams have interesting running back situations. For the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out. He's hurt. That means we're going to get some Le'Veon Bell and Darnell, I don't know, one of the Williams brothers will be involved here. Let me just pull that game up. So already Le'Veon Bell becomes an interesting situation. It's a gross name. No one likes it. Yeah, here he is. Darrell Williams, 22% of the carries last week. Le'Veon Bell, 32%. Obviously, Helaire was playing for the most part in early part of this game. He comes out. It's hard to really know for sure which of these two guys will get the role. I think it's going to be Le'Veon Bell being the starter. That's my best guess. On the other team, we've got a situation where, and this is where I think bad chalk might come up, and I hope it does, so I can be off of it. The coach for the Falcons has said that Ito Smith is our starter at running back now. And he said this is not anything. There's no injury. It's just based on performance. Now, if you look at snap shares from last week, Ito Smith got 48% of the snaps. Gurley and Brian Hill each split 25%. So here's the situation as I see it, John. I don't think Ito Smith is playable at all. I think he's shit. I think the Falcons' running game is shit. And I don't think that a blurb from the coach saying Ito Smith is our default starter means that Ito Smith is going to get more than 46% of the snaps. I think the distribution of touches will be exactly the same as it was last week, a week where Ito Smith, let's bring that up, but a week where Ito Smith got what, like 7 fantasy points or 6? Like, I don't think anything has changed here. I just think the coach this guy put up 5 fantasy points in a game where 5 the week before, 4 the week before that. I don't think anything's changed here, John. I think this is like the baddest of bad chalk. If it's chalk, I don't know if it will be.
Yeah, this is definitely a situation I would agree that you're going to want to be under the market on Ito Smith. You got to look at the upside. You talk about this all the time. Like, a guy might be chalk, but he's limited on the upside. I think we have a limited upside here. I like when you have, like last week when you had Pollard come in late at a cheap price. That was a good spot for Pollard. Here against Kansas City, I expect this game at the best for Atlanta. They're going to have to be shooting out with Kansas City, which is moving the ball up and down, throwing the ball. So if you look at both of these teams, if you look on my rankings, this is the second. If you look at that offensive passing, defensive passing. If you go to the first tab,
Kansas City's got a 68. So
yeah, this is the second and third team. If you go down to Atlanta,
70,
they're
68. It's
so
crazy.
These are like, outside of Seattle, these are the two best teams that you want to be stacking their games, and they're playing each other. So, all arrows point towards stacking this game with 3 or 4 players at a minimum here. So I think this is probably the best game on the board to stack. And what I like is I like a situation where I don't necessarily have to play the running backs. Sometimes we get like that Tennessee game where obviously Henry's always a play.
Yeah, you don't know.
And like last week, they're playing Detroit, and you're like, well, they should be able to throw the ball also. I think you could safely not play the running backs and just pound pass catchers in this game.
I agree, but I totally agree, and I think that's going to be the approach a lot of people use. A lot of people are just, because there are so few games on this slate that really stand out as sexy game stacks. Very few, almost none. Even this one, challenging because, again, Chiefs defensively are pretty good against the pass. Doesn't mean you're not going to be throwing a lot, but they're not a bad team. They pressure the quarterback. They do some things defensively that might be able to stifle Atlanta in this situation. So beware. But especially if it's going to be the chalkiest of chalk stacks, there's a little beware here. And I do think I have a sniff of interest in Le'Veon Bell. I know it's disgusting. I know it feels so wrong. I know it. But what if we get a vintage Le'Veon Bell performance? No longer has CEH in the way. He's a prideful veteran, right? Darrell Williams has been out there, but he's not getting actual. He's been out there like pass blocking. You know, he's not been doing it. Like, he's not 3 carries. He's not doing anything. Okay, Le'Veon Bell has at least been getting some touches. He had 15 carries last week. So it was very clear who the guy was who came in, and they leaned on Le'Veon Bell. Dude, I'm interested in Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I'm worried with Reed. You know, Reed in the past for his whole career, when he doesn't have the one guy, he likes to use multiple guys. He's had years where he split it up, and then he's had those years where he's had that one guy. These last couple of years, it's just he has not used just one guy in a game, so I'm a little worried about that. I do think Bell will get the bulk of it, though, if you have to choose between the two, just from what I watched last week. But I don't have a ton of confidence. I don't have a ton of confidence in
Le'Veon Bell smashing, because we just have not seen Le'Veon Bell play well in multiple years because he's been on the Jets. He took a year off. There's all these reasons, but there's one reason that not, and it's because, like, what if he gets listen, they didn't want to play him a lot of snaps with Clyde Edwards-Helaire there because they're like, yeah, we could split it up. But now Hilaire's not there, and it's Le'Veon Bell. He is a brand name player. I'm just saying, I normally would never think to play Le'Veon Bell, and yet here he is in a good matchup in the highest scoring game of the week. Probably going to get another 17 touches, maybe more. They don't throw to their running backs very much, so that's a problem. But let's see what Hilaire did last week, and if we add the two together.
I don't know how much he got. When did he get hurt in that game?
It was quite a ways in because he got 14 carries. Okay, carries, yeah. Look what happened last week. There were 15 carries for Bell and 14 for Hilaire. He got 3 targets. Not a lot of targets. There's no doubt. They don't throw a lot. I think that's the biggest negative. They just don't throw a lot to running backs because he got 3 targets and Bell got 1. So even if I combine their production, there's no way that Le'Veon Bell gets 29 carries. I mean, it seems very unlikely.
I think you'd be lucky if he got 20. That would be yeah. I'd be surprised if he got to 20. I think 17, 18 carries.
Yeah. So just, I think Bell is of interest, but, you know, not looking for a smash there. I think he's got to be in your mind as maybe somebody who's a viable. Like, he's not an eliminate right away guy. I'm eliminating Ito Smith right away. I don't care even if the optimized projection wants to play Ito Smith, I'm not on that. So the rest of this game, we have a bunch of pass catchers obviously Kelsey and Hill are the alphas. Can you choose between these two? Is there even a point of choosing?
It's always tough every week. It's really a toss up. I didn't do my projections yet for the or probabilities for the stacks, but they're always right next to each other. They're always right. Yeah. They're always right next to each other. So it's really a preference. If you're playing one lineup, if you've got another tight end that you really like, go ahead and play that and then use Hill. But if it's a weak tight end week, go ahead and play Kelsey, and then you have to hope for the best. It's really hard. It's really hard to figure out which one of those two guys is going to be the guy. But I always favor those two when making Kansas City stacks. But I would imagine the prices this week are going to be ridiculous, like 8,500 on Kelsey, and
they're through the roof on both guys. Tyreek Hill is 9K.
9K, yeah, it's crazy.
The salaries are through the roof. So the other secondary guys, of course, Mecole Hardman is still dirt minimum, and for whatever reason, he had that amazing play last week. He gets a few plays each game. He can pop off. Great tournament play. Sammy Watkins, middling salary. We've seen him have great games in the past. So I think all of those guys are live. And on the comeback side for the Falcons, I don't expect anything from Julio, all the hammy issues. And I think go right back to Ridley and Gage. Gage's price is coming up. Ridley's price is coming up.
Yeah, Ridley's expensive too. It's going to be tough to heavy stack this, but
yeah,
this is where you're going to have to do it with the second and third options.
Ridley's cost prohibitive, I think. So
yeah,
there we go. Interesting game. That's number one on our core three. Let's move on to game number two. On the core three, we've got. Yeah. By the way, I just want for the audience, it was hard to pick a core three. Even this slate does not feature a lot of games that stand out as game stackable or anything we want to focus around. But for the second one, we picked out the Broncos at the Chargers. Broncos heading out to Los Angeles as 3-point underdogs in a game with a 48.5 point total, projected total. John, in terms of this line, I mean, Chargers -3, they're at home. It's a Broncos team that, is not very good. Does this look about right to you? I mean, I would think that the money, I know the Chargers haven't been winning much, or certainly haven't been winning by good margins, but is this a bit much here, like a bit under on the Chargers here, only -3?
That's what a lot of people think. Yeah, that's what a lot of people think. I mean, that's where the
money's going on the Chargers.
Yeah, it's coming in on the Chargers. I think that's to be expected here. I'm not seeing much from anybody coming in on the Denver side of this game. So yeah, I don't have much of an opinion myself. I do agree on paper. Definitely looks like the Chargers are the better play, but I think I had this game. I'm just going to quickly look at mine. Right about, I want to say it was right about where this number is. Yeah, I actually had it right at 3. So when I see that, when my number kind of coincides with what the market has, and on paper, in my mind at least, it doesn't really look like it looked like maybe the Chargers would be a bigger favorite, and then my numbers agree. That tells me that my perception, and probably our collective perceptions are off. These teams are a little bit closer than we thought. But I think with Herbert, I think we look at this at the quarterback. We always kind of look quarterback first. So when you're comparing Herbert to Locke, I think that's where the difference is. One guy's going to probably be the rookie of the year, and the other guy has struggled a bit. So I think that's where we see the differential. And then you look at the numbers that we're looking at right now, the projections, and yeah, I mean, Denver just doesn't really project out all that well from a passing standpoint in this game.
Now I have a Panini card with Drew Lock, a little piece of his game worn jersey on it. Do you think that's going to be worth something?
Yeah, if I had the time, I really want to get into the sports cards. So I don't know much about it. I just got some from the Fanduel from that thing
I'm just
over the weekend.
Drew Lock one. So I'm really
I don't know, man. I don't know enough about them, but I'm just learning. I'm just learning all these cards. I do want to get a little bit more involved if I had time to do it.
I will degenerate gamble on anything.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I want to start building a little portfolio of cards. Cards that are worth more than the cards I have from the 80s.
There we go. Those cards, the billions of Mark McGwire rookie cards I've got.
I've got a million of
them. Chargers, 129 yards rushing, 254 yards passing here. Denver just can't pass this year. I mean, that's not even. I don't even think it's the Chargers' pass defense is good. They just can't really produce a lot of yardage. But some players in this game from a DFS standpoint, as much as this game is on the list, it's really tough to like a lot of these guys. Keenan Allen came off the injury last week, looked like shit in that one game. Now he's had a whole week and a half to heal. And so maybe he's fine. And maybe we go right back to Keenan Allen. He's a little bit expensive on DraftKings and Fanduel to afford. Here he is. He's all the way priced up at 7,500. So 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth most expensive wide receiver. But I mean, good reason. He's smashed most games outside of last week when they didn't throw to him because of the injury. He's had a lot of big weeks. It's tough to know. He doesn't have a questionable tag as of now, so we'll have to see. Austin Eckler also coming off an injury last week. Price keeps going up on Eckler, even though he doesn't produce. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's
going up.
I think it's just the matchup maybe this week that they're looking at, jack the price up. But yeah, he hasn't been the guy. We've had a few of these type of weeks. These are my favorite weeks. The weeks where we can't figure them out. So yeah, we might have that first option the first game that we looked at was definitely going to be the best on this slate. But this is one of those weeks where we're not going to have a ton of game stacks, and we might not even want to take if you stack a quarterback with a wide receiver, you might not even want to take anyone on the other side. Play a bunch of lineups like that. This could be a game like that.
I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, if I'm bringing somebody back on Denver, if you take a look, clearly Noah Fant has been the best guy. Guy had a 34% target share last week, and the only reason his season number isn't higher is because he's always coming out of games with an illness, getting hurt. But like, he is by far and away the favored target for Drew Lock. So I mean, if I'm forced to pair up somebody in this game, it would be Fant on the Broncos side by far. I can't trust Melvin Gordon at all as an underdog. It's fine, but I just don't trust him. He could be Phillip Lindsay, splitting carries almost exact with Phillip Lindsay. It doesn't make any sense why I would trust one over the other. And on the Chargers side, it really has. It's been Keenan Allen, and you might want to squeeze an Austin Eckler in there. Beyond those two, you're hoping for miracles with Hunter Henry, maybe for a touchdown. He's a little expensive for his production, but Henry's always kind of an okay play at tight end. Tyron Johnson looked great last week, but that could have been related to injuries to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen that kept him off the field. Like last week, look what happened. They said Allen's going to play. He only played 36% of the snaps. Mike Williams, hey, he's fine. He's going to play. He only played 42%. So the guy that stepped in was Tyron Johnson and, of course, Jalen Guyton. But I can only trust those two if the other guys are hurt. So this is a very difficult game to mess with. I think the most obvious path is Herbert, Keenan Allen, bring back with Noah Fant. That to me is like the only obvious thing about it. It's tough game, tough week.
Yeah, I think in mass entry you could take a little bit of Drew Lock, and just take that same stack with Lock just for the savings, just to have some different type of lineups in there. The Lock's pretty cheap, so you could do that as well.
Yeah, Eric's talking about Tyreek Hill's bad hammy, and that could be interesting, especially if they sit Tyreek, or if we think that the hammy, by the way, going back to that game, if they sit Tyreek, then wow, like fire up.
Oh yeah,
Mecole Hardman, fire up Sammy Watkins, fire up Kelsey. So yeah, that's interesting. And Rocky, I just want to answer. You should start Hurts. I just want to let you know. Play Hurts. All right, let's go to game number 3 on the core 3. And this is a fun one. I kind of like this one better than the other two. I think this is going to be my favorite. I don't know if I could game stack it again, but we'll see. But I certainly love the Eagles side, and I love Jalen Hurts, as I just mentioned. And that is the Eagles at the Cowboys. Eagles coming in as 2-point favorites. Playoff implications in this one. 49.5 point total, 2-point spread. The numbers make sense for DFS goodness. That they do. Now, John, anything stand out about this line? I'm going to tell you something. Something stands out to me. And again, sometimes I'm on the donkey side. Other times I'm on the sharp side. I don't know. But give me the Eagles -2. I want to smash the button on that. Jalen Hurts Eagles -2. It's basically a pick 'em at that point. Give me the Eagles to win this game. What do you say?
Yeah, I know that is definitely the popular pick again. So yeah, I think especially after Hurts, they didn't even win the game, but Hurts looking so good. The entire public is coming in on the Eagles side of this game.
Why isn't the line moving, or is it moving?
It hasn't really. So that's definitely that's one concern, especially because games around 2.5 move really easily because the difference between 2 and 1 is not all that great. So we'll see those lines move a lot quicker than they would if it was sitting on 3. So that's another concern. Like they're just letting you go ahead and keep taking this game at 2, and that they haven't moved it to 3. And usually the fact that this game hasn't gone up to 3 is a lot of times the books might be concerned that the sharp money's sitting there waiting for this 3. And when it gets to 3, the sharp money will come in on Dallas. So we'll see how this progresses as the week goes on. I kind of like this game from an under standpoint. Actually, I like this game to go lower scoring than the 49.5. So I think that's for me. And then I like to tease it across the 3 and the 7. So if I would actually take Dallas as a teaser up here,
your bet would be Dallas because
I would take Dallas plus the points plus the if I tease this game up to like 8.5. I want to tease it up to 8.5. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm not fucking.
Yeah.
What am I?
No, I'm not taking the game.
No, you want to do a side bet? I can bet against the spread, not this teaser.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not. I don't like Dallas on the with the point,
right.
But I do like it teased up to 8.5. If you like another game teased on the board.
There we go. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, from a DFS angle, listen, my guy Jalen Hurts is doing things that are very special right now. He is a running back. He is a quarterback. It's all mixed into one. The projection is here. The close game, the high score. He's completing passes. What? Nobody told me. Explain this to me. How the fuck did this guy get passed up by all of these teams drafting quarterbacks? He can throw 338 yards. The completion percentage, not there. Okay. The guy threw for 338 yards, threw for 3 touchdowns last week, running 11 designed runs this past week, 18 designed runs the week before, running for touchdowns. He hasn't even had rushing touchdown variance all that much, and he's getting 23 points and 40 points, 7K. He's priced up. Last week, I was all in on Jalen Hurts, John. Do you know what I did in my MME?
What'd you do?
I didn't even stack it. I just fucking ran 45% Hurts lineups just with him and then unstacked. No stack. I just because I didn't want all Hurts stacks. I don't want to use the pass catchers. In hindsight, you could have. It would have been okay. But I don't want to use that. So I was just running lineups. Everything I did, I was just doing other stacks. I was Hurts, and then I'd create other stacks from other games. Or Hurts with players from Arizona like DeAndre Hopkins. That was my best one of the week. So no, Hurts naked. No Ward. Naked. Just run Hurts out there. If I'm stacking Hurts with anybody, let's take a look at the matchups tool to see who he throws to. The problem is the Eagles throw to a lot of people. Quez, Watkins is out there catching passes. Travis Fulgham gets a couple of snaps. Alshon Jeffrey and Ward and Rager. Look at these. These are very bad numbers, John. Look at this. 55, 63, 18%, 34. This is not good. Can't trust these guys. But who can we trust? Dallas Goedert. He's out there for 88%. And you know who else is out there for most of the snaps? Zach Ertz. So these are the two guys that interest me more than all of this rotating group of can't trust them pass catchers.
What I'm worried about is he hasn't shown the propensity to want to throw it to the tight ends as much.
I mean, they haven't had the big game. That's for. I mean, the targets have been there in the sense of 18 and 20% this past week. The targets are there, but the production hasn't been there. So, if you look at Goddard, it's not like he had a good game last week. He had 20% of the targets, 8 targets, only 4 receptions, only 7.9 fantasy ball. So it's not but he's cheap. And you give me 8 targets to my tight end, I'm going to take it. I'll take it. But remember, 8 targets from a 50% accuracy guy, it's not as good as 6 targets from somebody who's accurate. So,
and I think, tight ends make their living in the red zone. The good ones, that's where you get the touch. You need touchdowns in there. When you bring in this type of a quarterback, it does take away touchdowns from the tight end as well.
The touchdown equity is taken away. There's no question because he's going to run it in. So, those are all really, really valid points. So beware of stacking Hurts at all. I'm very comfortable though. I like it. It's freeing for me. It's I ripped my bra off last week and I just ran around with the boobies bouncing all around. That's what I was doing. I was doing freedom. Freedom from stacks. Through it.
You're very you're so liberated.
I was liberated. Yeah. Fuck the patriarchy, man. Fuck the patriarchy. All right. That's what I did with Hurts last week. I said, fuck the patriarchy. I'm not going to be tied down with a bunch of quarterback pass catcher stacks. No,
it feels good sometimes, man.
It did. It was very freeing last week. It really was. I'm not even saying that. It really was. It really was. It was freeing. Now, on the flip side of this game, I would have liked if Michael Gallup was going to be out, because then I could finally maybe think about playing some wide receivers from Dallas under Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
But it would free me up from having to choose between 3 different guys and a tight end. So, I'm assuming Zeke Elliott's coming back. We get the dead-legged old man. He's fucking sitting around eating. He got married. He doesn't go to the gym anymore. Showers only once every other day. I don't need that in my lineups. Okay? Sorry, Zeke. But if I get young, fresh, looking for hot chicks Tony Pollard, who still cares, as the starter, I'm very interested in that, even at an elevated it's a little scary price, but even an elevated price, I'm okay with that. Can we play if all 3 guys are in there? Let me just break it down for a minute. Just tell me what to do. All right, Amari Cooper's price coming down. CeeDee Lamb up. If all 3 guys are playing, can I play any of these guys in like a cash game? Any of these wide receivers?
Probably not in a cash game, no. But in GPPs, I think Gallup's your best option if he's playing right now.
Because he's the lowest owned, he's the cheapest.
I think he's got the he's getting the most looks. I got to look at it again. I've got it on screen here.
Last week,
got for each 3?
Let's see. CeeDee Lamb wound up. So Michael Gallup started off really well last week, and then he got hurt. I think in the end of the first half, came out of the game. Then the targets went to CeeDee Lamb. Not much last week to Amari Cooper, but that could have been opponent based. Who did they play last week?
San Fran last week.
No, then it's not opponent. There's no elite cornerback on San Francisco that should have negated Amari Cooper here. They just didn't go there for whatever reason. But interesting snap counts. Only 57%. So Cooper's out there the whole time. CeeDee Lamb not getting a full snap count. And our boy Cedric Wilson, actually a DFS Army subscriber, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that Cedric Wilson is in DFS Army? And here he is as a player on Dallas.
Yeah.
Fan of Dallas. He's a player on Dallas, but all these extra guys were getting targeted. I don't know who the fuck these guys are. Rico Dowdle, Noah Brown came in. All these guys came in for Gallup when Gallup came out. So,
if Gallup plays, 4,100, I like that. Even as if you're not going to play anyone with Hurts, I don't mind playing Hurts with Gallup.
Yeah, some comeback. I'm just looking for a comeback in this game. I love this game, but it's very difficult to pick a lot of players from.
You didn't talk about Sanders.
Okay, yeah.
In this game, and I think that's maybe the best option on Philly. And I think you could play him with Hurts.
Why would I trust Sanders? He hasn't done shit.
Well, 2 weeks ago he did, and then last week was garbage.
They're not throwing to him. I have a problem. They're not throwing to Sanders.
No, they're not throwing. They're not going to with this quarterback. So
I don't like it. I think it's a contrarian. I think Sanders. I have him in a dynasty league, and I'm literally. And you tell me what to do. I have to make a decision between, and this is a very important league for the championship. I'm making a decision between Sanders and Darrell Henderson Jr. And I'm leaning Darrell.
No, I don't think I would.
You'd go Sanders.
I think so.
So there you go. The problem is, again, he got a bunch of carries last week, but Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that can vulture a touchdown. And if you're not going to throw to Sanders, then he needs an 82-yard run to get there, like he did against the Saints. And it's hard to count. There's a lot of talent in Sanders, but they just use him a little bit weird. So I don't know. I'm still not sure which way I'm going to go. I've gone back and forth on that Henderson Sanders thing. I hope my championship doesn't come down to that decision because that's brutal. I played Mike Davis over Sanders last week, and it did not cost me. It was the same score.
Yeah, there was nothing exciting.
Yeah, from either guy. So it wasn't like it mattered that much. All right, moving on. We go to the lightning round. We're going to take a look at all of the rest of the games. We're just going to give a betting tidbit angle, and a little DFS tidbit angle or two, and we'll hammer through these games and get you out in time for NBA lock. So, moving on to the lightning round, the first game on the docket, we've got the Bears heading out to Jacksonville to the tanking Jaguars. The Jaguars team that got the gift of the century when the Jets lost the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes last week in what is being hailed, John, as the worst win in franchise history. The most costly victory in franchise history for the Jets. Leave it to the same old Jets to fuck it up. And they did. They fucked it up. I hate them now. They're not my favorite team, and I'm done with them. They're dead to me.
That was that was not expected. We actually bet the Jets. That was one of my picks, but
nice
with the 17.5, certainly not on the money line.
Didn't need it to win.
No, but it looked pretty good. There was an interesting tidbit from Dave Purdom, who writes for the for ESPN, the gambling article, sports betting stuff, and Borgata did not take a single bet on the Jets until 20 minutes before game time. They on the spread. They had a couple of people actually bet small on the money line. You'll always have someone take a shot, but until 20 minutes before game time, nobody took that spread 17.5. So we had that one. That was one of the, that was obviously never in doubt at 17.5, but yeah, unfortunately more people, the Jets picked a bad week to win in Survivor. I'm still in the Draftkings Survivor pool. And
you survived last week?
I didn't have, I couldn't take the Rams. I had Tennessee. So yeah, so I'm still going. I think there's 35 people left, 35 entries left. But yeah, that was a week where we should have lost a bunch, but because most people had taken the Rams already. The week I needed to lose was that Raider game. I really needed that. A lot of people had the Raiders. I did not that week. And that was the week.
Well, I mean, you're top 35 out of how many in that?
It was close to 500, I would say.
Yeah, so that's pretty damn good, man. Good luck keeping that going this week.
Yeah.
I suggest playing the Bears if you haven't used them already.
Well, you got the Bears in Houston are my two options, but that's the game we're looking at here is this Bear game. So I actually, if you want to take a game to tease on the, we were talking about that the other game there, Dallas teased up. This is a good game to tease down the Bears. You get it down to 1.5, and they basically have to win the game. So I like that. From a DFS standpoint, obviously, the Bears have looked a lot better here. Trubisky, as of late, the last couple of weeks, from what I understand, they're letting Trubisky actually call a lot of the plays, and it seems to have been working. I don't know if he's calling the plays on the field or he's got more input as to what the game plan is going to be, but it makes sense. Let's let the guy do what he's strong at and comfortable doing, and it seems to have worked well. They haven't played any great defenses yet, and they're not getting a great defense here this week. So I think you can and Montgomery's just been a beast since he's taken over full duty. So I think Montgomery's certainly a play. You could run on Jacksonville.
Montgomery is the play, right?
Yeah.
So this is a Jacksonville team that seems to be actively tanking for Trevor at this point. Like their team owner Khan will come down on the field screaming at people if they even come close. Oh, motherfucker! He is not allowing anybody to win a game at this point. So they're actively tanking. Gardner Minshew has not looked good. The DFS pieces for me, and people are saying here in the chat that James Robinson is missing practice, or at least missed practice today. So the one kind of really good thing about the Jaguars has been Robinson and that discovery, and that'll be great for Jaguars team longer term. It looks like they found a stud running back. But man, this Jaguars team seems actively tanking. The Bears want to run it down their throat, and that's what I think they'll do. I think this is a Montgomery game. The biggest question is, can you trust Allen Robinson in a great matchup, but in a spot where they're probably more likely to lean on the run? Last week, they didn't need Allen Robinson. It was a good on-paper matchup, and it should have worked. but they just didn't throw to Allen Robinson that much. Because Montgomery got all of the work, 29 carries and a few targets as well. They're not throwing as much to Montgomery, but like he's looking like an RB1 super stud. 32 touches, man. Not that much passing game action, but he's there. If they need to throw to the running back, they will. Like one that could spike. Can we go to Montgomery now at this elevated price point?
Yeah, they certainly jacked him up. I mean, this is the Montgomery that we anticipated last year coming into the season, and their offensive line has just been so putrid that we haven't been able to see it. The guy's got ability. So yeah, I mean, I've got to look without looking at the full slate. I think Montgomery's the sexiest play here. I think even at that price tag, you can play him. I think there's a lot of upside as well. This game could get out of hand, then it could be a heavy Montgomery game. But even if the game is close, I think you're still getting a big dose of Montgomery. So I think either way, you're getting a lot of touches from Montgomery in this game.
He's always going to be involved. The only question is, can he pay off on 7,700? Again, as the salary elevates, so does the salary based expectation. And at 7,700, we need 714, 21, 816, 24-ish points for cash game value, which is asking a lot from any running back, and 32 fantasy points for tournament winning upside, which he hasn't done yet. So that's, again, asking a whole lot from him, but he does look pretty good. The running back position you'll see is pretty sketchy this week as you notice the whole thing. We'll go through each one, so you'll see it by the end of this breakdown. Oh, yeah, there aren't that many people that are standing out too much. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Colts taking on the Steelers. Colts 1.5 point road favorites. Team total 44.5 point for the Steelers. Steelers have been slumping. This game has sneaky potential, I think, to play out significantly higher than the projection for the total. So if I'm a betting man, there are reasons for concern with the Steelers offense and just Big Ben in general kind of just looking like shit lately. And there's possibility that he just sucks now. That's the part that's always hard for me, John. Like, I don't know if he's old and sucks now, or if he just had a couple of bad games. Like, the accuracy was not what Ben Roethlisberger does. This guy from last week, the Bengals game, is not a guy I'm familiar with seeing, missing. He was out there looking like Cam Newton, overthrowing everybody. I don't know what the hell that was. So the question is, can he pop back to his sort of normal self? And if he can, Ben Roethlisberger can tear up any team. He's at home. 44 points seems low. I mean, do in a betting angle for this one, it's basically a pick 'em and a low spread. What do you do here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a side of this game that I like, so I'll keep that part of it to myself. I'm waiting and just watching this number. I haven't given it out yet. I do agree with you that we could see this game go to the over. I think the Colt defense is not quite as good as it has been, so I think there's potential. I mean, the Steelers' offenses look really bad, as you mentioned. It's not just Ben. They've dropped a lot of balls. I mean, it just seems like just mentally they haven't clicked. So I think the hope here is that last week they kind of hit rock bottom. You play the Bengals. It's always an intense rivalry, but it's a team, they should obviously walk all over, and they kind of got hit in the mouth. So I get the feeling that they got embarrassed a little bit last week, and this week they come out and play well. We'll see it. I mean, it's been a few weeks, like I said, so we'll see if they could turn it around. They were never as good as the undefeated record said.
That's what everybody was saying, and that's fine. I mean, it's hard to be as good as an undefeated record. It's a really easy sort of statement to make, because who's that good, right? If you're undefeated, you ain't that great, But at the same time, defensively, the Steelers have just fallen off a cliff. They lost a couple of key defensive players, sort of captains of the defense types, and I don't think that's helped them at all. But I do want to note a couple of interesting things here about this game. Number one, Eric Ebron came out last week with a serious injury. He was carted away, which gives us now Vance McDonald, Bagger Vance, for cheap in an offense that does like to throw to the tight end. What up, Vance? That might be my pay down of the week at tight end. I've been waiting for Vance McDonald breakout for a lot of years. I'm a patient man, but my patience running low. Also, we saw the return of heavy involvement of Chase Claypool last week, where he started to take back over for James Washington. Don't know what's up with that, but I love these pass catchers for Steelers every single week. They like to throw the football quite a bit. I think you have a Colts team that is pretty good against the run. Benny Snell, not like somebody that I'm super, super excited about playing, but you do have to admit that Benny Snell also got 79% of the carries last week, and they threw to him. So
yeah, I would stay away from the Pittsburgh running backs in this game. Pittsburgh's only going to move the ball through the air if they do.
That's what they'll do their best work. I mean, but I love the pass catchers. You know, I've been on Deontay Johnson since week 1 of the season, and I will continue to go right back to that situation. Juju Schuster coming off of a bit of a tough game. I still prefer Deontay Johnson, if I'm forced to choose. And I think Chase Claypool, again, it's going to be hard to get to these guys because I don't think I'll be stacking Ben Roethlisberger in any lineups. But as one-off pieces, my favorite is going to be Deontay, followed by probably Schuster and then Claypool. And I do think that Vance McDonald is a very strong one-off piece, period. On the flip side, the matchup doesn't look the best for Jonathan Taylor in terms of like against the Steelers, but this hasn't been the same Steelers team. This is the Steelers team that just got torched by Giovanni Bernard. So I can't be fearing them. Like there's no fear of them. And one thing I do like to see was last week, Jonathan Taylor, 70% of the carries, 70% snaps, and 17% of the targets. Jonathan Taylor is emerging as the lead back on this team finally. Jordan Wilkins, 0 snaps last week. Now, I don't know if he was hurt. I don't think so. I don't see anything about him being hurt. So it looks like he just didn't get any touches. Jonathan Taylor. What do you say, John?
Yeah, I like Taylor, but they just keep creeping his price up, and last week, a much better matchup last week with Houston. Had a pretty good performance, not great, 19.5 points, but I like to see that the touches are up now. He's definitely the guy. This is the guy that we expected from the beginning of the season, and we're getting it now. So, I would view him as the guy there. Like I said, I wouldn't worry about anyone else except Hines is going to get some of the touches as far as targets out of the backfield. But we know Rivers likes to throw to him. But I just don't like this matchup. I like Taylor, but not so much in this game. I'd be a little bit leery at that price in this matchup.
A little sketchy to pay all the way up, especially if the Steelers do come out at home and look like their old selves again. And of course, the matchup tool definitely does not favor the running game.
Listen, the defense didn't look that bad. I know Bernard got his, but it was he didn't do a lot. It was just he got in the end zone and they had the turnovers on the right side. Like everything just fell apart for Pittsburgh. They didn't run up and down the field on them either.
Teams come out flat. If you believe your eyes after every game, you're in trouble. All right, the Jets just torched the Rams. That doesn't mean the Rams defense sucks. They just came out flat, and that shit happens. That's what happens in football games. The team comes out flat. Shit happens. I mean, that's all you could do. Shit happens. The team comes out flat. What are you going to do? So that could have been it there too. So you definitely don't want to feel safe about Jonathan Taylor. All I'm saying is I don't want to X Taylor out of my player pool either. I mean, he's certainly capable of producing a big game if he's getting the volume, which he might, but he's also not a lock to get that volume. All right. Next up, we've got the Ravens at the Giants. I think that, the Ravens are at home. Sorry, the Giants at the Ravens. Ravens are at home, 11-point favorites, 45-point game total. Ravens team total here is pretty high, John. Lamar running a little bit, again, doing his thing. Looked really good last week. Giants, kind of a floundering team at this point. I don't really know what to make of them. So I'm not sure the Giants will be a team that can put any sort of pressure on the Ravens here offensively. But, Lamar Jackson can be out there and do his thing and get you get you a pretty decent score without having to do a whole lot. You got Mark Andrews can have a big game at any time. Anything stand out here to you? Is it bettable from a betting angles point of view?
Yeah, I don't love this game at all from the betting standpoint. So I don't like the side. The side 10.5 just looks like a decent number. The public is on Baltimore slightly. Nothing. The Giants have played a little bit better of late, so I think that numbers is enticing some action on both sides. So nothing great for me there. Just from a DFS standpoint, yeah, I like taking a shot on Lamar. I think you can go Lamar solo as well. You can go naked Lamar's because I think this week you got to be a little bit more creative. We're not going to have a ton of game stacks, so in MME, and even if you're playing, maybe a 20 max. Go ahead and you can take a shot just like you would with Hurts. I think I could take a shot with Lamar here, but you're paying up. That's the problem. When you do it with Hurts, you're paying down. You're doing it at a high price here with Lamar, but it does get you the ability to maybe play some different type of lineups with with one of the better players on the board who has a lot of upside. So this is the type of game. I don't expect him to throw a lot in this game, but this is the type of game I think he runs quite a bit.
Yeah, it seems like pretty easy kind of a rushing based win for the Ravens as a whole. Actually, the player that I can't trust it, but again, J.K. Dobbins looking a little bit better. They phased Mark Ingram out of the offense. Gus Edwards in there almost as much though for a lot cheaper, and I don't like that. I need a lead back. I hate a 50-50 split. I need a lead back. They really don't have one here, and of course with Lamar taking a lot of carries as well. I think there's a lot of ways where this just doesn't pay off. Quite honestly, Lamar's just very jacked up in salary, and I got to pay a full $1,500 more than I do for Jalen Hurts, who is basically the same guy. As far as I'm concerned, what's the difference? I think Jalen Hurts is better. He could complete passes.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out over time, but right now he looks just as good. He looks like the same guy. So, but maybe like
you're gonna get a inflated ownership on Hurts now this week.
Maybe
everyone who missed out last week.
No, maybe.
I just think it's a little contrarian to be able to get in on some Lamar this week. I think his ownership will be down a little bit from where it should be.
I agree with that as well. And as far as the Giants, I can't play anybody from the Giants. Fuck the Giants.
No, it's tough.
No, not playing anybody from the Giants in this spot. All right, let's move on to the next game on the lightning round. We've got the Browns. Cleveland going into New York to play the Jets. Browns 9.5-point giant favorites. I have a bet on this one.
What do you like?
I like the Jets in this game.
Coming off
47.5-point total.
Coming off a win, huh?
It's not even about that. I just think the Browns should not be a 9.5-point favorite against the Jets. The Jets can probably. So what have the Jets been good at? They've been good at one thing. They've been the place where running backs go to die. I don't know if that's going to happen here, but like running back chalk against the Jets hasn't been very good this year. They've actually been okay against them. And, leave it to the Jets. Again, they're at home. Forget the win, coming off the win. It doesn't. I see, when you say that, I'm not saying this isn't a recency. This line is not a recency bias line. If the Jets don't win last week, the line is exactly the same. Well, let me ask you that. You're the expert. If the Jets do you think the Jets win last week affected this line even in the slightest?
Yeah, I do. I think this.
You do?
I think they would have been. We're probably looking at 10.5 instead of 9.5. Right. It's a point, which is a big point. Flipping over to the 10, I think you get a little bit more because now I've said it's idiotic. I always say it's idiotic. Teams don't dump. Excuse me. In the NFL, teams don't try to lose. You can't. Ownership may try to lose with putting out a crappy product, but once that product's out there, the coaches are trying to win, the players are trying to win. The numbers based on the coaches and the players, not what the front office is putting out. We know what's out on the field. We know it's shit. But once they step on that field, those guys are trying to win. And if they didn't prove that by going out and ruining their chances of Trevor Lawrence, teams they're not trying to lose. So you throw that out. So I think that takes a little bit of that shine off where people think the Jets are out there trying to lose games. So anyway, yeah, the 9.5. I'm not in love with either. You
don't like the Jets side of it. See, the reason I like the Jets, I think the Jets can make a game of it. I don't see any reason why It shouldn't be close. I don't think that the Browns are that great of.
Here's the thing with the Browns. I don't think they haven't blown anyone out this year. I don't know how many games they've won by 10. They still have a negative scoring margin for a team that's 10-4 because the games that they lost early in the year, they got blown out. That's hard to do, to be 10-4 and have a negative scoring margin on the season. They're like negative half a point scoring margin, which is crazy. So from that aspect, they have not blown anyone out. They've played a weak schedule to boot, obviously, because they were coming off a bad year last year. So I can totally see the Jets hanging in this game. Like I said, people have been beating up on the Jets, but they've played tough. Should have won that Raider game. Obviously, they go and beat a really good Rams team. I think a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. But I don't think any team, the Jets have never beaten the Super Bowl winner. I know that was always a thing, and I'm pretty sure no team has ever won the Super Bowl that lost to the Jets that same year, I believe. That's true.
Do you just want to kick the Jets fan when he's down? Yeah. We just fucking lost Trevor Lawrence, okay? We had a chance to finally have a 15-year Andrew Luck level quarterback. All you had to do was lose the fucking game. It's not so hard. Lose the fucking game. No. You know what I've done? I would have made Josh McCown come out of retirement and start. I would have made fucking Adam Gase be the starting. You know what? You like to suck. You fucking be the quarterback. I'll take the backup running back. Make him the quarterback. Make sure we lose.
This was Gase's last present to the Jets.
Fucking guy, man. If he didn't screw us badly enough by ruining Darnold, by being shit for multiple seasons, you had to go and win a freaking game. Asshole. Now, as far as this game goes, though, because I think the Jets can be involved in it, Jameson Crowder, and Eric pointed this out in the chat here, but Jameson Crowder, 4.5K on DraftKings this week. That seems a little low. He's going to avoid coverage from the one elite player, that one Denzel Ward, who's an elite cornerback for the Browns. I like that play. I like Crowder this week. I think he's actually viable in pretty much all formats. If the Jets play a competent game, it's not going to be running up the gut with Frank Gore. That was just some weird ass shit last week. I don't know if I can know. It's going to be throwing to Mims and Crowder. So I like the Crowder play on the Jets side. If the Jets can stop the run on the Cleveland side, if the Jets can stop the run, then look out for Rashad Higgins and Landry, who's priced up crazy. I can't even play Landry. He's priced up so high. But on DraftKings, he's like Rashad Higgins coming in almost 7K, which is not in the realm of normal. But for a guy in Rashad Higgins who gets about the same number of targets, that's a pass catcher I don't mind on the 17%. Oh, Landry's at 24/7, so he's up there. Another thing, of course, we chased the Hooper play. Hooper, 20% of the targets, 70% of the snaps last week, and tight ends have just torched the Jets all year. That's been, I've noticed a trend, by the way, that teams that are good against the run, that's where the tight end, you want to play tight ends against teams that are good against the run, because if you can't smash it in at the goal line with your running back because this team is just a good run defense, that's where that's the play action pass to the tight end at the goal line. That's just give me 2 of those in a game. It just increases the odds so much of a tight end touchdown.
Yeah, we also see the tight end do well in games with more than a touchdown when they're more than a touchdown favorite, because what happens is then the passing game, the game script goes the way that it should. You get the team that favorite team gets up in the fourth quarter. Their passing game then becomes a little bit more conservative. So they don't totally go away from the pass, but now the downfield option is just not there. They're looking to make first downs, keep the ball and the clock moving. So the tight end becomes valuable. So we've seen a lot of the big tight end games are in higher spread games. So I like it here. I like that play there. And I think this game you can pick and choose and have some individual pieces, but I'm not going to game stack this at all. From the Jets, I think almost every week I just kind of X out the Jet running backs and don't use them. And I'm not excited about using them here this week either. So
I don't use Jets running backs ever. But again, I've been Xing out Mims for the most part and Perriman because they keep popping his values. because of the target expectations, but they don't deliver. So I just X those guys out most weeks. But this is finally a week where I don't mind the Jets pass catchers a little bit. And certainly, again, Crowder is my favorite of the group because he's the best of them, and he's out of the slot, which will sort of shield him. He's coming off a 30% target share last week. There's just reasons to like him here. And 26%, I mean, these numbers are great for a $4,500 player, again, at home against the team that gives up a lot of fantasy points to wide receivers. So I like the matchup for him a lot. And, I think Chubb and Kareem Hunt are certainly in play. Chubb is very expensive here. He's been smashing every week. Jets have been a place where running backs go to put up shitty scores. So it's not a safe play. I think Chubb might be the most expensive running. Take a look. I think Chubb is the most expensive running back on the slate, which doesn't. Yeah, he is. So paying up a lot for a guy that's the most expensive in a matchup against a team only giving up 6 fewest fantasy points per game to running backs doesn't look so great. We'll have to see how that goes. All right. Moving on. Bengals, Texans. The resurgent Bengals head out to Houston as 8-point underdogs to take on the Texans in a game with a 46-point game total. Now, John, a lot of people are going to want to get let's talk betting angles first, of course. Houston, 8-point home favorites. Bengals coming off the crazy win. They're still rolling maybe Finley out at quarterback. Hey, he looked good last week. I can't rip the guy.
Well,
yes.
I mean, I think they threw for about 85 yards, so I wouldn't get too crazy.
I mean, we'll check that out. But are we betting? Are we betting this game at all? Is there anything that stands out from a betting angles perspective here that we should even consider? And can we trust? Where's Finley? I'm going to just try to see what he did. His final. Yeah, I mean, he got 18 fantasy points, but there weren't a whole lot of yards. He ran 10 times.
He ran a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, from the betting standpoint, I think the line's probably right. I think people are going to be a little hesitant to jump on Cincinnati, figuring, that they put a lot into that game on Monday night, and they really did. They looked like they were pretty fired up. Monday night game playing Pittsburgh, that was the one that they wanted to win. So you could definitely you could see this week being a potential letdown type of game. This is an interesting game for those still in Survivor. I could still take Houston as one of my teams, and so it's be an interesting type of game in Survivor pools. If you're still alive, it's going to be this game and the Bears game will be the two big games.
Do we smash the love button on Deshaun Watson and finally let him loose with Dalvin Cook and Kiki and all those guys and just bet on the passing offense of Houston here for DFS purposes?
Yeah, for DFS purposes, I think that's a pretty pretty good way to go. I think Watson has a big game, and again, this is one of those where you might just stack the Houston side and not take anybody on the Cincinnati side as a comeback. We've got quite a few games like that this week, and I think that's going to be the play here. And look for your pieces elsewhere. But I love Watson here in this game.
Trying to see if Brendan Cooks is where his salary is. Of course, he continues to creep up in salary, even coming off of just a slew of mediocrity since Fuller came out. It's just been mediocrity after mediocrity after mediocrity, and yet here we are. The price keeps going up. Motherfuckers don't give you a break, but maybe this is the week to go to Brandon Cook. I get he's been disappointing every week, but you can't deny this matchup. Of course, Kiki is also priced up to 5,400. That's even scarier. I'd much rather play Brandon Cooks here, even if Kiki has done better the last few weeks. So we'll see how this game plays out. But I think Deshaun Watson and maybe one of his pass catchers seems to be the DFS angle here. And you could play Houston defense. That's right. I said it. You could play some Houston defense. See where they're priced. This might be the bargain. The bargain. And where are no? There they are. 2,800. Playable. Eagles playable as well. All right. Let's move on. Before we move on to the Panthers in Washington, want to remind you guys who are watching this, don't forget to smash the like button, the subscribe button to the DFS Army YouTube channel. We're coming out with NBA breakdowns on the regular now as well. You're going to get all of our fantasy football coverage, off-season, on-season, the Bowl Call podcast. Our NFL coverage never stops. We got Dynasty, everything going on, so you need to smash the subscribe and like button as you're watching this video. And, of course, for those of you who want to actually start winning in daily fantasy sport, not all of you do, I get it, or in sports betting, if you want to actually be a profitable player, you want to start winning. I know that's not the goal of everyone, but if that's your goal, I suggest checking out DFS Army or Sports Bet Army, depending on what your poison is. Use promo code Statsational. That knocks 20% off VIP for either program. You can get John's bets over at Sports Bet Army. You get a lot of John's tools as well as all of our DFS Army tools over at DFS Army, the Domination Station Optimizer, the Matchups tool, the Research Lab. How many tools do we have? I got so many. Just NFL alone. Pivots, chalkboard, everything. And that's just NFL. How about NBA? Look at all these premium tools. John, can you possibly lose if you're using all? Yes, you could definitely still lose.
Well, put it this way, it's just going to give you an edge. It's going to make you a little bit better than not using all these tools.
That's what I always say. I don't know if we could turn you into a winner, but we can make you a little bit better than you were before. And hopefully if you were at a 50%, maybe we can get you to 55, you know what I mean? But if you're starting at a 30, maybe we can help you lose a little bit less. Don't know. One of our long-term subscribers just showed me his I'm not going to say who it is. I don't want to embarrass them. He knows who he is. He just showed me his bankroll tracker, and he had done 120,000 in entries and over the last since 2016, and he had 287,000 in winnings. Like basically, he was up well over 100%. I mean, the numbers were great, and he's like, "I'm not a bad little second income." I'm like, "Not a bad little second income." I'm like, "Your ROI smashes like literally everybody."
Cash game, a lot of cash games.
I don't know. Probably no cat. You can't have an ROI like that.
No, that'd be huge. Well, he must have hit one big.
I'm sure he hit a few big tournaments. I've sent out some swag to that person, so he's hit at least a few different tournament wins. But I mean, that kind of ROI is spectacular. I love it. All right. Yeah, Jordan's here. He still loses, but hopefully you lose less. That's what we're hoping for. It's a little less frequently. Where was I? Okay. Panthers, Washington. 44.5 point total. 2.5 point favored Washington football team. Now, John, if I've learned anything this season in DFS, and I always try to learn lessons. One is don't use players against Washington. It doesn't end well. It's a place where fantasy points have gone to die. Now, I normally like playing players from the Panthers, but I don't want to play anybody against Washington. Any disagreement with me there?
No, I couldn't agree more. Washington's just been brutal. Been great on defense, but brutal for opposing offenses. Fantasy-wise, this game is, it's reddish tint all over it on my projections. We're not sure yet on CMC being back. Is he definitely out? Okay,
yeah,
I heard something
doubtful.
Today.
And wait, it gets worse. Dwayne Haskins was busted at a strip club snorting cocaine off hookers' asses.
Yes, heard that.
Cocaine mixed with coronavirus particles. Like the other night. By the way, if anybody wanted to understand why Dwayne Haskins fell out of favor, and I was saying this, the team hates him. Now you get it. I said this weeks ago. I said this last week going into this game. I said the team hates this guy. There's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And here's what happened. Much like Zeke Elliott, except on a much weaker scale because Dwayne Haskins, he ain't no Zeke. He fucking got paid, okay? Couple mil, rookie contract. What does he go out and do? He says, I don't give a fuck about football no more. I got paid, bitch. And he's out during Corona at a strip club snort and blow off of hookers' asses. What the fuck are you doing? Bro, it's Corona. You're on a team. You're the starting quarterback. What are you out celebrating that you suck? Like, what are you celebrating at the strip club? That you're not good at football anymore? What the fuck? What? his decision-making skills in life are as good as his ability to read a defense. Meanwhile, Logan Thomas had his best week like ever last week with Dwayne Haskins under the helm, but I don't think it matters. I don't trust that motherfucker.
Logan Thomas might be playing quarterback.
Wait, who?
I was hearing something
Logan, you got to throw him in at quarterback. Who's going to be the quarterback? Are they going to play this guy after going to the strip club? No mask? I don't mind if he went to the strip. By the way, put a mask on, bro.
Yeah.
He wanted to get, I don't want to do the thing. He wanted to get like the blah, blah, blah going, you can't do that with a mask.
Yeah.
In the movies.
Yeah. The strip club's a tough place during this during the coronavirus, man. You
feel stupid at the strip club with the mask on. Is that it as you go in?
Yeah, why not just hire the strippers and bring them, have a party at your house? Not that it's any better, but at least you're not out in the public getting caught.
All of these players, there should be a job. It's called life advice, okay? And it goes like this. Hey, here's your life coach, John. And here's hey, rookie, like you show up at the training camp. You don't have the rookie symposium. They're like, hey, a financial planner comes in and he explains what to do. Then the life coach comes in and says, guys, I'm John. You should be this guy. I could do that job. I'm Kevin. I'm going to be your life coach. And here's what I want you to do. It's very simple. Anytime you have a decision to make that you're not sure about, I want you to call me. Okay? Just call me. Don't make any decision without me. Just call me. I'll get on. Listen, I'm a busy guy. I'll give you 10, 15 minutes. We'll talk it out. We'll figure it out. Dwayne Haskins calls up. John. Yo, man. We just had a great game. Fucking threw to Logan Thomas. You see those numbers? Kicked ass. I'm about to head out to the strip club. No mask. Just giving you a heads. I know you're probably not going to be happy, but, bro, I want to get some poontang. And you're like, listen, I get it. Okay? I get that you want to party with strippers. I'm not even against it. But here's the deal. Put an ad in the Craigslist like a normal person does, right? They'll come to your house. You don't need to be out in public. So you can take the mask off. You can blah, 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 all you want. Privacy of your own home. And he's like, motherfucker, that's why we got a life coach. Brilliant. That would have saved him all the hassle. And then you say, as a bonus, when you don't have to drive home from your house, you're fine. No DWI. No pictures of you at the strip club snorting blow off hookers' asses. None of that, because it's all done in your house. But make sure you don't invite that fucking friend of yours who's got the camera on, that troublemaker, because he'll mess you up. Don't invite that. You know who I'm talking about.
You got to leave cameras at the door. It's the old Jeter move, man. Yeah. Jeter never allowed the cameras inside his
camera. There's a little basket.
That's right.
Drop your camera in there.
Security takes all the cameras.
Yeah, you get a guy there. When this is what I never understand. If you're a wealthy sport athlete making multiple $1 million a year, number one, you can afford a driver. Number two, you can afford a life coach like John or me. I'm not that expensive. I do this shit for free. Call me. Dwayne Haskins, I'm reaching out to you. Call me, bro. Before you make any life decisions, always call Kevin. I'm thinking about investing in this business. This business guy says it's really good. It's a restaurant. We're going to open that shit up. Thank you. You're not doing that. Okay. Thank you for calling.
What's the commercial with what's his name? The actor Giamatti.
Oh yeah, Paul Giamatti, the accountant. That's right.
The accountant, running around.
I'm basically Paul Giamatti. Like, no, you're not buying the. No, okay. I'll run after you. I'll be like, I got to find my client. I heard he's heading out to the strip club. Yeah. I got to get to him. I got to tell him that you just have to put an ad in Craigslist. You get super hot chicks calling you up to come to your house. You know all about that. I'm not even going to mention the name, but I know. But I know. There's inside info, guys.
We used to do a big party, man, for the championship games.
By the way, speaking of that, I found a service. We might do an interview for them ahead of the Super Bowl. There's a service called like Fantasy Girls. They come and they make your Super Bowl party amazing. That's all I got to say.
I said I've been doing it for years for the championship games. You got girls that serve come in, they serve the food. It's great.
I got a group like that. They almost wanted to sponsor the pod. I said, you don't even have to sponsor it. Just send your hot chicks on and we'll interview them, like ahead of the Super Bowl. So we're doing that.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's going to happen. All right. So look forward to it. That's why you got to smash the like and subscribe. Do you want to miss that one where I'm in here with John.
It's good to see Kevin fumble with his words when the hot chicks are on.
I'm the worst. I have to turn the camera. I'm like, I pretty girl. I just sit here like this. Girl. I'm like I have to let you talk. Remember last time we had a hot chick on that we had to interview for something? I had to let somebody else talk. I was just like, girl. Anyway, Panthers, Washington. Don't play people from this game. Is that hard to do? Yeah, that was it. That wraps it up. Wait. Final game of the main slate. You like that breakdown? Don't use anyone in that game. As a matter of fact, play the defenses. And if Dwayne Haskins is in, you can even play Carolina defense. That's right, Carolina defense. They looked pretty good last week. Are they cheap?
It is.
No. They never give me a very, very cheap one. No. 2,700 is not cheap enough for me. I don't like it. Oh, well.
Yeah,
no.
I do like one of the sides in this game, so I'll be giving it out.
You got a bet?
Yeah, well, I'll be giving it out over at Sports Bet.
All right, Sports Bet Army. Again, go sign up at sportsbetarmy.com, DFS Army VIP, or DM Statsational on Twitter and ask him how to get 2 free months of Sports Bet Army. There is a technique, and it is awesome. DM him on Twitter. That's right. Now you're going to get DMs at Statsational.
That's fine.
I fucked you. Or the at Sports Bet Army account if you really want to do it the right way. Okay. Final game of the week. We've got the Rams heading out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. This is a shockingly high 47.5-point game total, with the Seahawks coming in as home 1.5-point favorites. Rams defense used to be considered one of the best in the league until Sam Darnold and the Jets came in and ripped them a new asshole. I'm willing to throw it out and assume that was just a crazy game. The last time these two teams played, it did not look pretty for either team from a fantasy scoring point of view. But technically, this probably should have been the 4th game on the core 4, in fairness. So we'll give it a second here, John. Betting angles wise, number one, betting angles wise, 1.5-point favored home Seattle. Anything stand out here?
No, don't particularly like it, but this is another one of those games that you can tease up. So I like this. If you're going to take this game, take the Rams back, take them up to, if you can get 1.5, get it up to the 7.5. That would be nice. With the teaser, with the other game that I mentioned before, the what was it, the Bears game, or the Bears down, and even the Texans down. Those are those 3 that I really like from a teaser standpoint this week. But yeah, we've talked about this. Obviously these teams played each other before. We've talked about this matchup before. It's tough matchup because you like to have both teams, like that Atlanta game where you got both sides of that game that could really go off. This is tough. The Rams, the Seahawks, not a great defense, but the Rams are.
Remember, let's harken back to the last time these two teams played, because I think that's important. So that week, it was Jared Goff chalk. I didn't play him, but it was Jared Goff chalk week, right? At that point, the power ranking sheet showed, and it still does, that any team facing the Rams goes off for a crazy amount of yardage. As you can see here, even now, the Rams are predicted for 314 passing yards in this game, right? It was even more dramatic back the first time these two teams faced off in week number, I don't remember what week it was. In
10.
week 10.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening? The Rams wind up smashing the run the whole game, and I believe it might have even been Hendo who was the starting running back in that one. Let's see. Was that him in week 10? Nope. It was maybe the Akers breakout week. No. Brown? Maybe I'm completely wrong. I remember them running the shit out of the football that week. Malcolm Brown puts up 20 points. So they spread the football around. That's what happened. But the running backs took a lot of the scoring, and it wasn't a high-scoring game. But there was a focus on the run. The pass catchers didn't do shit. As you see here, yeah. So Malcolm Brown scored 20 fantasy points, but only 6 carries. And then, they spread the football around quite a bit. But Henderson got a bunch and Akers got some. And in the end, the big game didn't come to fruition. So my question for you is, now everybody remembers that game. And they're like, hey, the last time I loaded up on Goff against the Seahawks, it didn't go well for me. Could it be that this is the week to go back to Goff and his pass catchers against the Seahawks for all the monies?
I think it's a sneaky MME play. It's a play. It has potential. What I fear is Seattle's looked a lot better on defense. Now, granted, they haven't played great offenses here. They played the obviously Washington last week, the Jets, the Giants, and Philly with Wentz. Those teams just have not scored well, and Seattle hasn't really given up many points to them. Before that, they played even Arizona. They didn't give up much against. Before that was the Rams. So they've been on a run here of really if you remember, every week in the early part of the season, it was like Seattle or the Seattle game stack were in the top GPPs. That hasn't been the case in the last 5 weeks.
No.
So I'm not anticipating it, but I think your point. I think where you were going, you were going with that is it's going to be sneaky. The Rams are coming off that loss last week. I think people are definitely down on Goff. It has the potential. This game could become a shootout type of game. I mean, we've seen it happen with the Rams before. We know Seattle can put points up. I expect it? No, but you don't play things that you necessarily expect to happen. In GPP, you want to play what possibly can happen. I think we do have the potential here for a higher scoring game, especially on a slate where we don't have a lot of great games. This could somehow turn into a game stackable type of game that wins you a big GPP.
Very few game stackable games this week. That's just reality. And again, people experienced this game already once, and it didn't go very well. I'm not a big play Jared Goff guy. I don't recall even playing him once all season so far. But, the price is down. The matchup is good. The ownership is low. It won't surprise me if he shows up on Burns' list as a major Millie Maker candidate for this week. And I think the same on Seattle. Do I love Russell Wilson against the Rams? No, but he's at home. It's I hate to say it, it's probably an area where maybe Tyler Lockett can become relevant once again with Jalen Ramsey. Probably, I think DK Metcalf cannot be covered, period. But I mean, Jalen Ramsey will be on DK Metcalf in this game, locked onto him. So maybe this is a Tyler Lockett game. It's hard to even say it because we haven't seen a Tyler Lockett game almost all season. But, ever since the beginning of the season, it's been so long since he's had a score that was even useful. But, you have these two spikes here, these two spike games that did happen, particularly in games, this one in particular, where there was a matchup advantage for him. So could be. But all in all, I do have some interest in this game. The biggest interest for me, though, is going to be at the running back position with Akers out for the Rams. We get Darrell Henderson Jr. and Malcolm Brown. They're not going to. They're doing the McVay shuffle. They're not being clear on if one guy's ahead of the other, who the guy is. They're not letting us know, John. They're not saying. So they're not going to make this easy. But I'm guessing that it's going to be Henderson. And I want you to, I think that, because this is the most important part of this game, the running back situation for the Rams. If it's Henderson, and there's no reason to believe it is, I don't know. If it's Henderson, I think it's him. At 4,500 in this matchup against Seattle, is he not a smash play if he gets the touches? This feels like good chalk if it works.
Yeah, I like this side. This a lot better certainly than an Ito Smith.
Oh,
if he's getting, if we don't have Akers, so absolutely, and probably the highest owned, maybe one of the higher owned players on the entire.
I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know at this point because The coach came out and he said something along the lines of, update. Head coach said both Brown and Henderson will be, quote unquote, heavily involved in the game plan. So the coach is throwing shade on everybody. He's not being clear. If Rappaport comes out and says anything, ignore the shit out of that. That dude is always wrong. All we can hope for is that Adam Schefter comes out and gives us some sort of clarity on what this situation will really be. But I kind of think it's going to be Henderson.
I mean, unless they just go back and say, well, we had success with Brown last time and we'll go to it. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a little bit more info as we go.
Can I play Henderson in cash games this week?
Like I said, it's going to depend. But I mean, if we think Henderson's going to be the guy, then absolutely at that price, because the matchup's too good. We'll know more by the time the weekend comes around.
We might, but coaches lie, so we might have to go with assumptions. We'll have to see how this one shapes up. All right, that's awesome, guys. Once again, reminder: like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see videos like this all off season long. NBA videos coming on the regular as well. So good stuff. We continue to hammer through the season. Note for DFS Army subscribers, John, I think me and you will come back, and instead of a Wolfpack focused on Sunday, as we often do, we will take a look at this Saturday slate, the 3-game awesome slate that is coming up this Saturday. I'm super excited for that. I can't wait. That's one of my favorite slates ever. I love 3 games. I love the 3 games that are in it.
It's a good 3 games.
It's a great 3 games. So every game is a little bit sexy. Bucks, Lions, the least of which, but Cardinals, 49ers, Dolphins, Raiders. A lot of good games here, high spreads, close games. So should be a lot of fun. We'll be back to break that one down on Friday, only for DFS Army subscribers. And of course, if you're not a DFS Army subscriber, then you're missing out on our awesome NBA projections and cheat sheets and all that stuff. There's a slate coming up here in an hour and a half, so we will get prepared for that. I did my best to keep this under an hour, and of course, we hit the hour and a half mark as usual. We're gonna have to put a timer up for next season. Just like boom, cut it off. Sorry, like a buzzer, like that show on ESPN with the buzzer. But that'll do it, man. Thanks you, John, for joining me. Thanks everybody for checking us out. And we wish everybody best of luck this weekend. If we can't take down a tournament, we hope that you can and win those cash games as well. Good luck, everyone. Take care.
And Merry
Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas,
Happy
everybody.
holidays, baby. That's right. All right, take care.